Hello and welcome everyone, I'm CS Gilmore and this is Darkest Dungeon. Now, I'm going to do a lot of reading in this episode. It's just going to be reading, no dungeon crawl. I'm just going to be going through a lot of stuff involving the characters. And also the journal entries. So, sit back and enjoy. So let's start with the Crusaders, shall we? Crusader. Battle-hardened and stalwart, the Crusader has held the front lines in 100 holy wars. He either attacks foes head-on with righteous fury, or embraces a melee support role by leveraging his powerful defensive buffs and off-heals. I'm not sure what an off-heal is. I think it's like this and this, like not the most effective healing, I don't think. Let me power these up, and I've got the money to do it. Just to get an idea. So this one heals mostly stress and raises torch level. And this one actually does heal the party. But it actually could do a fair amount. So maybe I'll equip him with that. Instead of like stunning blow or something. Since, well, how good is a stun does this get? Yeah, not great. So yeah, more effective to use a healing, give him a healing ability, I think. But moving on. Highwayman. A rogue, a thug, and a thief, the Highwayman has honed his skills with dirk and flintlock to devastating effect. Whether at range or in a melee, he is equally effective at dispatching his foes. Be it a grapeshot area of effect or single target bleed, the Highwayman's skills focus solely on dealing damage in a variety of ways. Occultist. A lifetime of scholarly inquest into ancient and forbidden lore has opened the occultist's mind to the powers of the void. Debilitating curses and maddeningly impossible support skills are his specialty. The void, however, is an unpredictable power, and consequently, skills' effectiveness can vary dramatically, and usually come at a cost of light or stress. True, but doesn't mean I still don't love this character. I mean, way awesome character. He does a lot. There we go. And yeah, I don't know. This character, the occultist, is kind of a character after my own heart in some ways. I love the dabbling into some of these occult thingies. Just like, you know, looking into them, learning about them, not practicing. I know better than to practice some of that stuff. And a lot of it's mostly just a waste of time anyway. But it's still fun, interesting stuff, especially for writing and to gain into just being able to create an interesting horror story or something like that. Now, moving on. Vestal, the Warrior Nun, channels her zeal for battle into healing abilities, holy judgments, and dazzling explosions of light. A strong backbone to any party, the Vestal can also hold her own on the front line. It says front like, but I think that means front line. With a powerful mace, bash, and close quarters condemnations. Grave Robber. The Grave Robber is a versatile and nimble combatant, moving back and forth through the ranks with ease. She strikes without warning and retreats to the shadows, continuing her assault at range. If her throwing daggers and poison darts aren't getting the job done, she can return to the melee, buffed and slinging her pickaxe. Yeah, she has a good self-buff ability here and here, I believe. So I really don't have them equipped. Anyway, Leper. A leper. So let's see. A ruined man, a warrior, and a poet. The Leper is most effective when given a turn to focus himself before raising his massive blade. When he swings, it is all or nothing, crushing blows and massive damage, or the empty whistling of a glancing blow. He is entirely self-sufficient, drawing strength from his life of trauma, and able to channel it into heals, protection, or unrelenting fury. Arbalest. A runaway turned soldier. The Arbalest is the definitive backline fighter, able to rain suppressing fire down on the enemy, snipe high-profile targets, and apply powerfully effective first aid. She is a rallying point, a turret, a beacon in the dark. this ability actually get useful? I suppose it does, because if she heals you more than once, then you start getting healed more and more anyway, due to that healing received bonus. Hellion. Wild, unpredictable, and utterly ruthless, the Hellion thrills to the spilling of blood. Her massive glaive affords her impressive reach in combat. While its razor-sharp edge leaves lasting wounds on enemies, certain skills leave her exhausted, however, and she may occasionally need to take a turn to recharge her adrenaline before entering the fray once again. Hound Master, a tough and uncommonly compassionate ex-lawman. The Hound Master and his faithful wolfhound work in tandem to bring down their enemies and protect the innocent. Together they stalk to the back ranks, bursting forth in a flurry of harrying bleeds, gnashing teeth, and stunning blows. Should the tide of battle turn, the pair can support an ailing party by protecting the weak and rallying the stressed. So yeah, they can raise dodge and heal stress. I don't know, and yeah, they do have a self-heal ability. Most of it's effective on themselves, like ability-wise, in this case. And let's get this up since I've been using that a lot. So, pretty good abilities. They can really support themselves a lot. Let's see, next one is Man-at-Arms. I need to get this guy's abilities up a lot. Right now, gold, so I'll do that another time. The Man-at-Arms is a seasoned veteran of combat and has been rewarded for his toil with haunting guilt and stoic resilience in equal measure. Immovable, commanding, and focused, the Man-at-Arms breaks down enemy lines with his mace, buckler, and furious battle cries. Abomination. Beaten, branded, and imprisoned for untold decades, this furtive vagrant hides a terrible secret. The eldritch poison coursing through his veins has given him unspeakable power at a terrible cost. As his form changes, so too does his role in combat. Imprisoned for untold decades. So does their being kind of a half-breed between human and demon give them excessive lifespans, maybe? I don't know, that's a questionable one. Bounty Hunter. A brutally efficient single-target executioner and crowd control specialist. For the Bounty Hunter, planning is key. Mark targets for bonus damage or look for opportunities to capitalize on a stunned foe. He can also wreak havoc on an enemy party's order using his grappling hook, flashbangs, and powerful uppercut. Okay, Vestal. Here's another one. Plague Doctor. A doctor, researcher, and alchemist who prefers to hang back, eating away at her foes with stacking damage and overtime abilities like toxic clouds. Like toxic clouds and plague-filled grenades. She is equally effective in a support role, blinding and confusing foes while enhancing a party's survival with damage-increasing tonics and remedies for bleed and blight effects. Jester. Combat is a power ballad, a slow build-up, and a grand finale. On the offense, the Jester leaps to and fro in a bloody cacophony, positioning himself for a glorious end in the front ranks. Alternatively, he can hang back, delivering chilling melodies and unsettling riffs that terrorize his foes and give strength to his allies. Alright, I think that just leaves the Antiquarian. A scholar, researcher, and keen archaeologist, the Antiquarian is not well suited for combat. She is, however, an expert in self-preservation. By making herself scarce in a fight, or demanding an ally protect her, she ensures her survival. If direct combat is unavoidable, the Antiquarian can use her fulminating sensor to heal and invigorate allies, and to toxify attackers. So yeah, mostly they're just there to help you collect antiques, I think, because I don't see much point, or fill a party space, I guess, if you really needed it, but I don't really see much point for them except for to get items. Now, let's move to the blacksmith, where they tell you a bit more to the characters and their abilities and whatnot. The Antiquarian wears no armor to speak of, instead relying on the power of the innumerable ancient charms and relics she has collected in her travels. Her eye for rarities is enhanced by the unsettling properties of her sensor's vapors, which can offer some utility to the party in problematic encounters. Okay. And let's just move up the line. Or down, I guess, first. Hellion. Crude leather and furs may offer little protection, but the Hellion lives to bear the scars of battle proudly. Her priority is wreaking havoc with her massive glaive and bathing in the blood of her adversaries. A true barbarian. As it were. Occultist. Scholarly robes, better suited to the library than the harsh realities of adventuring, are all the occultist has brought with him. His rituals and chants require deft movements of hand and finger. So better he be unencumbered that he may channel the power of his morbid fetish, the polished skull of a dead man. Plague Doctor. The Plague Doctor wears only light cloth, intent on remaining as far from melee combat as possible. From a distance she lobs toxic sachets that can blind, disorient, and eat away at her foes. So it looks like we got through a lot of the lightly armored characters for the most part there. Well, okay, still working through them, I guess. Clad only in mildewed cloth. Why mildewed, I wonder? Oh well. The jester makes a mockery of battle. Only a fool would underestimate the vicious blood-letting power of his sharpened sickle or the discordant throng of his lute. Vestal. Blessed plate mail encases the Vestal as she delivers terrible violence and healing comfort in equal measure. A mace in one hand and holy book in the other, a study in contrasts, and all the more effective for it. Okay, now we should begin some of the heavier hitters. Leper. Heavy and restricting, the leper's bronzed cuirass can absorb all manner of punishing blow. His massive sword is slow to swing, but delivers crushing damage to anyone caught in its unstoppable arc. The bounty hunter favors a hand axe and grappling hook, a pairing that allows him to ensnare and execute his quarry with professional efficiency. His tough leather and scale armor grants decent protection without sacrificing mobility. Abomination. Protected by cursed chains and a thick, leathery hide, the Abomination can withstand the pressures of frontline combat as well as any plated footman. Cursed chains, okay, sorry, distracted. His terrible claws are each the size of daggers, and his progressive mutation manifests in unspeakable strength, speed, and a profusion of bile. Okay. Clad in the heaviest plate mail, the man-at-arms is a mace-wielding wrecking ball, quick to react and adapt. He is most effective leading the charge, protecting his companions with his unbreakable shield. He's Captain America! Captain America throws his mighty shield. All who oppose his mighty shield must yield. That's what it brings to mind anyway for me. Sorry. Hound Master, still clad in his worn Ganderme's, I'm not sure how to pronounce that word, sorry, uniform. The Hound Master's focus is on evasion over mitigation. His cudgel is an evasive? I wonder if that's supposed to be effective, stunning tool. But it is the Hound who delivers the pair's most crippling blows, especially when he's been fed an invigorating snack. Scooby, Scooby, Scoo, Scooby, Dooby, Doo. Wow, I messed that up. Scooby, Dooby, Doo. Grave Robber. A light coat is all the Grave Robber will wear. She favors mobility and dexterity over protection. Concealed within her garment are razor-sharp throwing daggers, and buckled to her back a pickaxe. Arbalest. The Arbalest takes her name from the massive crossbow she carries into battle. Able to decimate enemies at range with a dizzying array of ammunition, she wears medium plate for increased protection against the volleys she knows are coming. Alright, anyone else? Okay, there's the last two. Highwayman. A highwayman's reinforced overcoat will dull a knife strike, but he relies more on evasion than damage mitigation. His flintlock and short sword afford him great versatility. He is never out of position or caught unawares. Do you want to check something? Yeah, okay. I was seeing if it was a difference from levels in what was written, and no, it doesn't look like it. Crude leather and furs, yep, okay. Compared to, just to make sure, yep, same thing. I just wanted to make sure if they didn't change as you upgrade their weapons and armor, as that would completely complicate matters for my doing this reading now. So all good. Crusader. The Crusader wears heavy plate mail and wields a longsword. While affording him excellent protection and damage, his armor restricts movement and his sword cannot be swung effectively in the back ranks. Duh, sword. It's not like you can hit things with a sword from a distance. Short of chucking a sword, and they aren't really made for that. So, alright, unless I missed someone, I don't believe I did. That should be everyone for their abilities and whatnot. Yeah, okay, I got that one. Just being sure. Now, the journal entries.
In time, you will know the tragic extent of my failings.
Alright. They haven't given me any more journal entries, so I think I either have, yeah, I have them all. Aside from number 1, which I will read off my phone because apparently they aren't going to give me that one. I don't know why. So number 1. A strange note written on bloody human flesh. You examine the ragged piece of flesh. It reeks of sweat and tears. A series of crude gouges in the skin pulsate and seep blood. They seem to form a pattern. You can just make out the following. We at Red Hook Games are deeply grateful for your support and your time spent in the darkest dungeon. Good luck in the coming battle. That was nice of them. Nice little note from the developers. I don't know why I don't get any. Why it doesn't seem to be given out anymore. Maybe they had issues with it, or they felt it distracted from the feel, like the authenticity of the game, having that in there. You know, not authenticity, the immersion into the game. I don't know. Either way, they don't do that one anymore. Now to move on. Journal of Darius, Highwayman. Okay, let me get a drink here real quick. Okay, I think I'm good to go now. Journal of Darius, Highwayman. Day 1. Rare are travelers on the roads this autumn, and rather than starve I pressed my last coin into the hand of one who dealt in rumors and shadows. Ravens carried cryptic notes that there was a person or persons who was pledging coin for services best left unmentioned, in a hamlet I had never heard of. I am packing to leave immediately. I should get this mouse out of the way. Whoa, why didn't it skip it? Oh, okay, day 4, number 2. Wow, sorry, that threw me off for a second. Day 4. The road to this damned hamlet was a tricky one, both to find and to travel. When it revealed its ruined face, I swore I had never seen such neglect. Some buildings collapsed and uncaring residents fidgeting uselessly. I went swiftly to the tavern. Others with similar interests had gathered there, and I was assembled into an expedition. We leave at first light on the morrow. Day 6. As we traveled from the hamlet, an eerie dread grew. We all felt it, but did our best to shrug it off. Sleep was difficult until Raven, one of my companions, passed me a bitter concoction. The most devout of us, Therian, prayed softly for our safety. Superstitious, but well-intentioned, I suppose. I am already falling asleep. Day 7. We tangled with some unruly louts. Raven called them cultists. They were ferocious, but clumsy. Day 8. Moira has been afflicted with sickness. It must have been some rotting air from a coffin she insisted on piercing with her spade. As terrible as this place is, I know I will not fall for any trap nor crazed idiot. I wager my lucky coin on it. I thought he gave up his last coin or something like that for information. Did he not? Let me double check this real quick. My last coin. I guess he doesn't count his lucky coin as his last coin. Alright, moving on. Yeah. Friday trap for crazy wager my lucky coin. Yep, okay, sorry. Making sure I was on the right track and I skipped one accidentally. Number 6. Last one. My end. I scrawl this. Victim of cruel fortune, who took me up on my wager, for I have lost my lucky coin, and I now lie helpless as my blood flows swiftly from my ruined body. My fingers are cold. It was no trap, nor raving cultists that sealed my fate. We were ambushed by strange undulating shapes, 2 small entities that I cannot hope to describe, and a third, much larger beast. Poor Moira was crushed into a pulp as Therion defended her. He soon lost his arm, and his wits left him. Shambler! Shambler! He kept shrieking as Raven yanked him to flee. I tried to play hero, to buy them a few moments. Blew away one of the smaller monsters, last shot. Then smashed into the wall, the big one. Maybe they made it out. Alright, next one. The blackest of fates. Sorry. Our purpose was to desecrate their animalistic shrines and thus disperse the swine folk. But soon we came across an artifact. This was far beyond the crude fetishes crafted by the pigmen. It looked as if obsidian had been grown and twisted into a dark symbol of worship. It cradled a pulsing red orb, glowing with malevolent light. Cuthbert, Bullion, and I hesitated, but thrice damned miser, driven by crazed impulse, thrust his torch in a hidden receptacle and thus sealed our fate. In that same instant, we found ourselves in a place of suffocating dark, facing a creature that defies description, and whose recollection causes my quill to jump and shudder. It is merciful only fragments of our battle remain in my psyche. I see Cuthbert hacking at the quivering appendages of the monster. I recall how a piece of its flesh slowed off, and of its own twisted accord sprang onto Bullion, piercing her stout plate. The occultist, as if to offer himself as tribute, was torn apart by its writhing limbs. The assault was overwhelming, with Cuthbert slain, and as Bullion fell, I was driven by rage. I leapt and drove my axe into the creature's many eyes. Purple ichor splashed my face, and my very soul shook as it bellowed. The only thing I can recall after was falling swiftly into blackness. I now find myself back in the Warrens among the remains of my companions. My wounds are too severe to allow the completion of my task. Thus the desecration must resume another time. Curious, there is a ring in my pocket. Where it came from I cannot begin to guess, though it bears the sigil of the estate's ancestral owner. Very curious. I will return with Cuthbert's banner and Bullion's crossbow, so as to honor them with a proper burial. I will leave what is left of thrice-damned Miser and his trinkets to the swine folk. Perhaps they will build him the memorial he rightly deserves. Well, yeah, I thought that one worked better with that accent, though I don't know how well I did that accent. You could let me know in the comments if you'll feel like it. I'm American. I'll leave it at that. I've never been out of the United States, except for to visit China once, and that was just a 3-week trip. Don't know Chinese enough to speak any of it, really, except for like maybe 2 words. And so, yeah. But that sort of accent, Irish accents, that sort of Scottish accent, I believe is what that one was. It was a Scottish accent. Yeah, those come a bit more naturally to me, and I've been told, at least with the Irish accent, that I actually get very accurate from someone who's been around, someone who's actually Irish born. So, or Irish native, born native, whatever. Anyway, So, judge me as you will. I thought that fit better for the reading. And now to continue. What to do for this one? Nah, I think I'm just gonna go with a normal speech on this one. Sebastian's watch was his last. We were jolted during our evening's repast, the best we could make in these murky halls of our once great house. From the roar and flash of black powder, we dropped our bowls and hurried to him. All we could find was his spent pistol and a trail of blood leading into a maze of shadows. We press on. We fought in the East Gallery, filled with portraits of our ancient lineage, uncaring witnesses to the slaughter. Alazred, the fiery heartbeat of our retinue, wrought keen havoc in our enemy's ranks. I keenly feel his absence, even as I remember voiding myself upon seeing his lifeless body fall. Blood pouring from his screaming mouth, some cruel knife having rent his lungs to gore, yet we were victorious, and thus we press on. Hewell, dear friend, exemplary warrior, a survivor of the King's Wars and many sorties in these halls, met an ignoble end. We were weary, Hewell and I, as we searched for sanctuary. Weariness, it appears, has a murderous streak. It blinded him to the mechanism that tripped the spikes which eviscerated him. I held him as his essence slipped away, another giant fallen in our mad pursuit. I am alone now, weary but unbowed. I press on. I am become vengeance. All cultists will feel my mace, brigands fear my roar. I am outnumbered, 'tis true. I am starved and half mad, but as long as there is breath in my body, I will press on. I will wreak unbearable agony on those who would seek to despoil my great manse. And now they come. Douse my torch, I do not fear the darkness. This is my house, and woe to the uninvited. This one I find very interesting, just because it makes, like, our lineage, my house, things like that. It suggests that this was a relative of the ancestor. Alright, blood-soaked pages torn from a journal. These dark caves dripped with an overabundance of humidity beyond my threshold of comfort. I nearly broke my ankle on the rocks, made slick with some ubiquitous slime. The pools stir and slosh with no visible cause, and the shadows beyond torchlight seem to grow and shrink of their own accord. My fears are confirmed. With our torch doused by an errant spray of seawater, we were ambushed. Strange fish-like hominids ambushed us in the sudden darkness. The pitch of the torch caught quickly, and I glimpsed scaly appendages swinging crude weapons, glistening and barbed. They didn't last long with our torch rekindled. Alas, one bit me on the neck before I gutted it. The wound stings and tingles strangely. Our physic told me to keep it clean and covered. The wound is starting to fester. The flesh around it is gray, flaking, and rigid, almost scale-like. As I write this, my breathing has taken on a hollow timbre, and is more labored. My compatriots are laughing, and tell me not to worry. It's just the salt mist in the air that pervades these caverns. They are sleeping. I am kept from slumber by a distinct stream of whispers, as if carried by the currents and waves of the sea. I have not told them that most of my flesh has slowed off, revealing a strange silvery membrane. I keep myself covered. They questioned me when I ate the meat raw at campfall, and found my response difficult to understand. I suppose it would be best to explain my condition when they awakened. Then they would be convinced of my urgency to leave and find aid in the hamlet. The others are gone. They were victims of a malevolent transformation. Their scales had writhed to soft, vulnerable flesh, slowly suffocating without gills. The worst was their eyes, close set and forced to squint through fleshy slits. I shudder recalling the horrific and unclean warmth of their blood as I rinsed my talons. I nearly retched. May death grant them soft mercy. I cannot recall why we ventured onto land. Why did we leave when Mother Ocean provided all we needed? Beneath her tender waves, I will now return home, back to her embrace. Indecipherable scratchings fill the remainder of the page. Whew, that's a lot of reading. But so worth it. These stories, I love them. They are awesome. That last one is very Lovecrafty. I've said it before, I'll say it again. very Lovecrafty, and really shows a twist in the mindset of the character of the narrator. So not very reliable narrators in many cases due to madness and whatnot, but still a great read. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed all the reading, including the non-journal entry reading. Excuse me, sorry. I think that'll do it for the readings. I don't plan on doing any others. Yeah, nothing else really comes to mind for any further reading to do. Let me think. Just to be sure, let me take a quick look. These just replay the old videos, I believe, from the beginning. You can, and I'm not gonna mess with those. These just replay the boss battle stuff. Yeah, I think that's it. So, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Hit like, hit subscribe, leave a comment below, let me know what you think. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!